Welcome back to our genetic deck building experiment here on YouTube. As you can see, I made a few changes to, or rather not changes to, I created a background monitor of the system. It's pretty basic right now, but it's going to be used as a basis for when I have my own deck inspector going. For now, it's just a list of archetypes by their strength, ones that need to be run the most, and a nice little graph that I created up here. So I did change the format of the not the format, but the structure of the tournaments. Rather than having all the tribes submit decks to one big tournament, I basically created it so that 4 tribes submit decks to the tournament at a time, and then they run off against each other. The main reason for that is I noticed that the decks that are getting killed and that are winning tend to be somewhat random, and it seemed as though the quirks of the random number generator, the quirks of the random matching of the Swiss round system mattered more to who won than the actual strength of the decks. For example, after I implemented this new system, one of the quirks that I saw, this one match that I saw, there was white decks and red decks and 2 other colors I don't remember. The white decks pretty solidly crushed all the other decks in that particular tournament except for the red decks. The red decks kind of did okay against the other decks, but dominated the white decks. So in that example, the white decks, it mattered whether or not they fought against the red deck. If it was random, if it was Swiss rounds, the decks that fought against red decks would be rated lower, and the decks that avoided red decks would be rated higher, and vice versa with the red decks. The red decks that matched up with white decks would probably rank higher than the ones that didn't match up against the white decks. Another example of that was when black and colorless were in a tournament together back when both decks, their main strategy was if they got into a board state stall, they would basically save up life for Etherflux Reservoir, Wind. And both the colorless decks and the black decks were doing that. Black decks did it slightly better because they have more ways of gaining life, and they have a better aggro strategy that they can win with before they get into control. Neither deck is still doing that. Actually, maybe colorless is still doing that, but black decks aren't still doing Etherflux Reservoir. But at the time, that was the key strategy. Again, colorless decks, the black decks were doing pretty well against all the other decks in the format, except when they got matched up with colorless decks. So when it was black decks versus colorless decks, it was pretty much 50-50. So basically, black decks that in a Swiss rounds tournament, black decks that would match up with colorless would have done worse than the black decks that avoided colorless. So the matchups of the Swiss rounds mattered more than the actual variance in the decks, and that needed to change. I couldn't get the results I wanted while that was still the case. So under this new system, if let's say it was black, colorless, white, and red, each colorless deck would face up against one red deck, one black deck, and one white deck. Each black deck would face up against one white deck, one red deck, and one colorless deck. It happens that these are all the ones that are not waiting for an Apex tournament. That's just funny. So I'm not going to get too much in detail to this. Just know that this, the most important thing to notice here is that this long decimal number is the current rankings of the decks. This is not an arbitrary number. The other ranking system was a pretty arbitrary number. I was just awarding points and saying, here, have points, and we'll use those to figure out who's best. No, this is actually a specific number, which I'll actually explain that in the next video. I don't want to talk too much about this in this video. I want to get into this Apex match. In the next video, I'm going to be doing 2 color decks, and while the 2 color decks are starting up, I'll talk more about the tournament structure and why I'm doing this. But for now, just know that these are ranked this way for a reason, and that's pretty much all you need to know. To have a look at this graph real quick. Since I created this new tournament structure, I started I started this graph at 7. All the decks had 7 points, which I thought 7 would be a reasonable approximation of where they'd wind up, and I was like, no, not even close. 7 wound up being where the colorless decks want. Colorless decks can't catch a break. They're just way down here. This pink line is the rainbow decks. They're kind of having trouble. Oh, this is. Oh, I need to copy this. Save. Save. Print screen. Yep, captured by the consulate. I knew that was captured by the consulate. Been catching this bug with Chandra's Pyrohelix when captured by the consulate is in play. It creates an exception where it doesn't know what to do. I've seen it a couple times, and I just thought, oh well, it's a UI glitch, and I just kept closing it. And I kept noticing that it was the same error, and yeah, anyway. Captured by the consulate, Chandra's Pyrohelix, bug. Speaking of bugs, we don't see any right now, but they fixed the Fabricate issue. I posted on the Forge forums that Fabricate wasn't being cast, and one of the guys that's been working on the AI says that he implemented it. Like he doesn't understand what was wrong with Fabricate. He looked into it, and it turns out that there was the AI was checking to see if the Fabricate card was valid, because it was trying to figure out when it was trying to figure out which mode to get, it was checking to see whether the zone that it was in was valid, and that was failing because the card was in its hand, not on the battlefield, because it hadn't cast it yet. So it was failing, and it wasn't casting it. So that got fixed right away. And he also said that that's a bug that probably is impacting other stuff that the AI is doing. So he's going to look into a little bit more. So yeah, cool. You know, I'm running so many games that I'm bound to see bugs from weird combinations of cards, like Chandra's Pyrohelix and Captured by the Consulate. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic. I'm getting way off topic. What am I talking about? But that is one of the things that I wanted to mention before we got into this. This is just about to finish this match, so I'm actually going to pause the automatic runner. Actually, I'm just going to kill the automatic runner. As soon as this tournament finishes, I'm going to start up with the next the main event here, the Apex match. So I have this set up now, that I can now turn this to true to force it to be the next Apex match. Right now it's just going to take the top 4 from the Apex, or the top 4 decks, to make them the Apex match. When I want to set it up so that I can actually name archetypes to pick for the Apex match, and that way I can do whichever ones that I want. Oh yes, I was talking about this chart before I got interrupted. So as you can see here, the white has been pretty solidly in the lead. Black's been duking out with green here and there, but they kind of figure out that black is on top. Blue and red have just been kind of interweaving back and forth the entire time. When I went to bed, red had just gotten ahead. When I woke up this morning, blue had just caught back up. And then now it's flipped again. Red is just slightly ahead of blue. Oh, so slightly. And this is kind of the ranking that I thought it was. Like, I figured blue would struggle quite a bit in this kind of an environment, just because the AI doesn't know how to use a lot of blue's tricks. So this is one of the reasons why I gave blue the head start that I did. Green I actually thought would do better, but yeah, not so much. There is a reason why these are highlighted, and it's not important right now. Actually, the highlighted ones are ones that are going to be ready for an Apex match. It might actually run an Apex match between green, red, blue, and rainbow. I think this check happens first, though, so there's that. So let's run this. I have it set to 1. I've decided that I'm going to slow down any interesting matches that happen, so you can kind of see the action rather than just speed passing them all. White, yeah, okay, white, black, green, and red. But this is, and actually this will count against their count, so these will go away after this match. So right now it's doing all the red versus red matches. Giant Spectacle, I'm thinking might be an exploit on the AI. I don't think the AI knows how to deal with Menace. I know X-Mage was not programmed to double block, ever. And so if you had something with Menace, it would always get through, every single time, because the AI would not double block. Oh, I should also mention this is going to be the last tournament, or the last video with the masterpieces in it. After this video, I'm going to code in a check to remove non-format legal cards, which will remove masterpieces unless they're allowed in the format, which is the actual rule for Magic. Now it's doing all the green decks as part of the same run. I'll pull this up for later. So it feels to me, I've been watching a lot of Apex matches, and it feels to me like the mana and casting cost curves are starting to be very, very ideal. We're still seeing decks that are way too large, but I think there's a reason for that, because when it gets to the board state stalls, it gets to the point where it actually can run out of cards. So I actually think that having more than 60 cards is actually an advantage currently, just because of stalls like this. The other thing that I figured out is that we've seen in previous videos where one computer will attack with everything and then the game will kind of stall until it reaches timeout. What the other AI is doing is it's trying to decide how to block, and it's trying to decide how vehicles affect it. So you'll see it where, I've seen it where it will stall for 10 seconds, activate a vehicle, stall for 10 more seconds, activate another vehicle, stall for 10 seconds, create a token, stall for 10 seconds, activate a vehicle, so on. And then timeout. Vendor Skill Hulk with Masterpiece. Very nice. I don't know why we've got a red elemental. They'll see that there's a lot of Generation Zeros. I was attempting to do a thing where during the regular matches, not the Apex matches, but during the regular matches, it would load a maximum of 4 people from the same family, and then it would load 4 randoms, or then it would load 4 from a different family. And then a lot of the archetypes, especially the green ones, were the worst for it. The green ones were the worst, and then the black ones were next worst. The green ones were so inbred that it was literally all this, every single one. And so it had to create more to fill that. Whenever it can't load a deck, it would create a new one to try and load it. The problem was that one of the ways that it creates a deck is by breeding 2 existing decks. So it would create a deck and see, no, it's the same family. Create another deck, it's the same family. Oh my god, this count went up to like 110, 112. I actually had to create a tournament type that would like massively cull one tribe. It would basically run the culling tournament. Instead of running it with 4, it would just run it with this one over and over and over again. Yeah, it was bad. Oh my god, it was so bad. But that's why you see Generation 1s and 2s, is because they're holdovers from after this happened. But they've made it into the Apex. They've proven themselves. Another board state stall. Let's see, Weaponcraft Enthusiast. That's got Fabricate. Come on. Same with everything. We've got servos. Not using a Whirler Maker. That's just from Weaponcraft. I should be opening up. That's right. Let's make this full screen and open up their decks and hands. Graveyard. Malphus Squadron. Yeah, it's got lots of fabricate. Open the graphic enthusiast. Where'd all the tokens go? One thing that black likes to do is, with all the tokens flying around, is it likes to use Demon of Dark Schemes. It's hilarious. I want to know why it's not loading up the white decks right now. Oh, because I'm doing them one at a time. Right. I'm still taking 3 at a time. So Demon of Dark Schemes will come out, clear the board of tokens, and then it likes to use Etherworks Marvel to do stuff with all that energy. It's hilarious. Now we're in the white decks. Master Tricketer is still being used by the white decks. Aerial Responder is so good, of course it's being used. The Parallel Pioneer is being used a lot now that Fabricator is working. So many servos. And it's still doing self-assembler spam a little bit. The problem is this is a one-set format. These monocolor decks don't actually have a lot of options to choose from, so they're actually pretty close to the best that they can be other than deck size. And as I mentioned, deck size does have an evolutionary advantage a little bit. So as we see here, this is the number of wins that it got. So White Pride versus White Pride, it had, actually the best example was probably this one. So it had 2 wins on this side, 2 wins on that side, so that's 4 wins. Then it got 3 game wins. So these count for 1 match point. So this is a total of, oh, math is difficult. This is a total of 15 match points divided by 3 is 5. So that's why this has 5. These don't count for points towards this because this is a match versus itself. It only counts matches versus the other tribes. So the maximum this can be is 24 because there are 8 times 3 is 24 possible matches. So now we're seeing the green versus black. It's starting to match the 2 tribes based on the results of that first round. It matches them 1 for 1. The best decks play the best decks, and the weakest decks play the weakest decks. Demon Dark Schemes. Oh, of course, it closed right when I was trying to open the graveyard. All right, Margaret, look out. Again, Edgecrafters. So I can see these decks go to face off a lot less just because they're playing 2 different decks with 2 completely different strategies rather than being the same strategy. Thriving creatures tend to be very good, even thriving rats. Tends to like them a lot. Ambitious Etherborn. I don't think it's had time to decide whether or not it likes the Fabricate creatures. The Fabricate creatures used to be dead cards, so it was weighting them against. And now that they're doing stuff, they're doing better than they were when they were dead cards. So it's kind of in the crossroads between not sure whether those decks are going to survive or not going to survive. Oh, this one's going to stall out, I'm pretty sure. 2 Malphus Squadrons, 2 servos, 3 servos. And there's oh, this Longtooth Cub is getting huge. It should attack with this. It should attack with both of these and the Dragster. Haste Trample, yeah. And then it would start clearing the board. Got a Dynavolt Tower. This game will probably end if he draws a Demon of Dark Schemes, which he has right there, like 20 cards down. No, this is going to time out. A Demon of Dark Schemes to clear the board and to activate the Dynavolt Tower a few times. Actually, Demon of Dark Schemes with Panharmonicon out would literally clear the board, except for this and some of these bigger creatures. He must have killed that. Looks like he killed that cub. Yeah, probably it was a timeout. And then this deck, by no means a timeout. These are pretty one-sided unless they both get like really good defenses. Consulate Skygate is a great way to defend against an early rush. I'm feeling this will go a ton. They're both at 7 life. He's got tons of energy. Looks like somebody won that, but I didn't see who. White didn't stand a chance. Like I said, red does fairly well against white. Except when white gets Token Rush out. That was a one-sided to red. That's a one-sided to white. That's one thing that the decks need to work on the most right now is consistency. And not getting, like, not making sure that the decks do stuff instead of being so swingy. Arrow Responder are going to win in the game. Not sure what happened there. Huh. These are both white decks, even though they have the same avatar. Or sorry, this is a white deck and red deck, even though they have the same avatar. Every time I think a deck between white and red is going to stall out, it just ends. Oh, it's because red's got burn. Right. Yeah, Combustible Gearhulk. I bet you it's Combustible Gearhulk that's winning the games. See, Swamp in the middle of a red deck. And that's fine, because when I add the other tribes, that's going to happen more and more often. So it's fine that that happens every so often. Even though I don't know why. It shouldn't be happening. I'm honestly surprised, though, that they're not somehow getting cards from other sets. Like, I could see Necropotence in one of these decks, and it wouldn't surprise me, just because I'm not checking format. If these decks somehow got a card from another format, it would be fine. They'd be allowed to use it. Speaking of, I'm not seeing very many Masterpiece cards. I'm a little bit disappointed. I left those in there just because I wanted to see how badly they... Alright, so here we go. We've got, let's see, this is white versus red. So white actually beat red. 6 total match points. 6 total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 win by red and 2 game wins. So that's almost a full match point. 2.67. That math isn't working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 1, 2. 2 wins and 2, yeah, that's right, 2.27. Black versus green, also a domination, 6.67, 1.67. Hugely in favor of black. Like, not even close. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 wins, and the 2 losses were both 1-3 or 1-2 game wise. So you can easily see right here why the black and white decks are on the top of the pecking order. Next round, I think we face the white and black don't face each other, so it's the other matchup, white and green versus black and red. Let's see if let's see if red and green can do a little bit better when matched the other way. Oh wow, look at this dragon. I don't even know what that dragon does. All I saw was that it had an energy uses. Ah! I've never seen that dragon before. One spontaneous artist. Goes so quickly. Combustible Gearhulk in hand. Needs more mana. Ether Vial is one that it gets used a lot by red decks. Red decks are the ones that have it. I've seen 2 on the board. Early tests when the mana was poor. This is back when I was still using green and blue decks only for the very initial tests. I've seen decks have 1 land in play, an Ether Vial in play, and win just by pumping out creatures for free with Ether Vial. It's hilarious. So it's definitely a strategy that Red's gravitating to with that Ether Vial. There's going to be this match, and then the next match will be this, and then we'll start seeing the green and white decks. See, Shadow how this works when there's no authority of the console, or not authority, captured by the console. Bursting Idol is getting huge. Bursting Idol has trample, doesn't it? I have a feeling that green is going to get squished. Won that one. And it looks like it's ahead here. Nope, white is just about to turn around. I don't know if white did turn around or not. White's got this one in hand though. Right. Pickle Tang. Trample. Wow. Yeah, the green decks are definitely doing better against the white decks than they did against the black decks. Tapped out for something just before the game ended. Usually the one that taps out is usually the one that dies, because it's usually trying to do something to defend itself and doesn't succeed. Red versus black is an error. There we go. That's a UI error. That means the game did finish, it just didn't close. All right, so red versus, okay, white versus green. 5, 2, 3. So white decks did win more of the matches, most of the matches, but I won 4 out of 3, and then green got 1 point. And black versus red. red decks actually did. Was it black versus red? Yeah, black versus red. Red decks actually did better here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 to 3. Lots of secondary games though, so it was kind of close. White and black are currently getting 11 points. Red's getting 8, and green's getting 5. Poor green, getting troubled. Red's gonna pull ahead here again. Or red is ahead. I'm sorry. Green versus red, and then we'll see white versus black. I actually don't know who's stronger overall between those two. White's stronger overall than black is obviously on the graph, but I don't know how the matchup fares. Well, green's getting the curve better. Pretty consistently, at least this particular deck is. Generation 11. Oh! Just turned around. And... is red going to clinch it? Oh, red is so going to clinch it. Look at that. Here's that bug that I was telling you about. That remember I was saying that I think Giant Spectacle is never mind. I thought I was attacking. It's being tapped down with Deadlock Trap. I thought I was attacking and not being locked, but its life total wasn't going down. It's Deadlock Trap. Green's going to run out of energy, though. Red doesn't want to attack because it knows that if it overextends, it's going to lose very quickly. This game is going to draw. It has to. 3 cards left. Oh my gosh! If this doesn't draw, Green's going to win this by library. Nope, it timed out. Wow. And see, that's what I'm saying. 2 cards left before timeout. If the decks were smaller, they would have lost. I think that's why the decks aren't. We're not seeing 60-card decks. Too cheap. The Foundries. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's a game that I want to see in slow motion. Bender's Gearhulk. The Masterpiece Bender's Gearhulk is literally in every deck. It's not going anywhere. All right. Lasting through the last two matches of red versus green. And we're in the white versus black. White is currently winning this match. Yeah, white won this match. Unless black does something amazing. Like Noxious Geralt and spamming the board. White still won that match. It's going to get traffickers early. No artifacts to sacrifice. Lost those. Yeah. Black's getting trampled. It's not even remotely close. This white deck has about 60 cards, including the cards that you draw at the beginning of your turn. This one's bigger though. A little here. Insane. Arrow spawner. Flying life link. This match is going to go to time. What's happening there? You guys got Menace. It's got Menace, so it's exploiting the fact that it can attack without being blocked. Because the AI won't block. Treat it as Menace. Menace may as well say unblockable against the AI. I have a feeling that black is on the losing end of most of these. Mark Curiosity. Fumigate in hand, which I know the AI won't cast. I'm pretty sure the AI won't cast. I don't know. I've been surprised by what the AI knows how to do. Oh, it did it. It cast it. Holy smokes. Alright, so white versus black would be the second versus first. Yeah, 5.76 versus 3, 6.0 versus 3 points. So green beat red. There's all the mutations on the new decks. Looks like green beat red pretty handedly. Yep, 5-3, 5-2 and a draw. Draws really hurt their match points, but that's the way it goes. And 5-3 for the white decks. Black didn't get any game wins. It was all 3-0. And then two out of the three that white lost, it got match points. So white got 16.67, which is right on par, which is right around its 17 that it currently has. Black got 14, which is a little bit less. Green got 11, again a little bit less. So these all actually wound up losing points this time, just because of the way this matched up. And that's unfortunate, but this is a rolling average, so that will happen. This actually, so usually red, it's a little bit more than it does. 13 is the actual average. If you imagine that it's going to win half of its matches with a few, if it wins half of its matches every round, like let's say white wins these 4, that's 4 points each round, and let's say it gets one where it goes 3-1. So that would be 1.33 points times, wait, no, sorry, that would be 4.33 points times 3 would be 13. So I call 13 the average. Here I started the graph at 7. I should have started at 13, which would be here, and then they would have split from there. But that's what I'll do when I add the new decks. One of the quirks with you don't see it in this case, but one of the quirks with this matching system is there will sometimes be multiple white decks, all with 1.0 match rates, and that's fine because we're not looking for the actual top position. Well, we kind of are, but if they're all relatively tied, then that's okay. We don't need to know specifically who is the absolute best, just as long as we know. It's more important to know who to kill than it is to know who to win. But it is possible for an entire tribe to get all 1.0. They could win every game, but then they're all basically equally fit. So it doesn't really matter which one you kill at that point. So I do want to look at each deck. This video is getting long. I actually thought the fact that it was 14 games would make this video a little bit shorter, but I rambled for 10 minutes at the beginning. This is actually a Generation 1 deck, even though air quotes around Generation 1 because of that glitch to kind of reset everything. Not really glitch, but the bad thing that I did that tanked the gene pool, that nuked the gene pool. So the winner of our Apex tournament has a couple fumigates, bunch of fragmentizes, server exhibition, impeccable timing, quite a bit of removal. Looking at 87 cards with 32 lands, that's about right when you consider that this is 50% more than the usual amount. A little bit more than 50% more. This is about 50% more than the usual mana lands. Three Propeller Pioneers. Looks like it's trying to get out of the self-assembler spam. Yeah, there's not much to be said about this deck. It's pretty basic. It's only got one Chief of the Foundry. So let's have a look at the green deck. This green deck actually came in second place overall, even though green came in last as a tribe. So there's that. This green deck pretty much carried the tribe's weight. The first red deck is way down here. Ripper's Gearhulk, which you know, Ripper and Tiger. Remember I said Ripper and Tiger. Shoot, what did I do there? Pretty sure I said this is pretty much the in every deck. That's what's happening again. I'll get Edgecrafters and Pima Outrider. I didn't see before because they were bugged, but now they're starting to be. So now the new basic package for green is this. You see this in every deck. Is it doing much to benefit from +1/+1 counters? Not really. Nature's Way, I'm not sure it knows how to use. The single Sky Skiff, 2 Smuggler's Copters. It's running Gear per Orrery. That's interesting. Oh, I guess it helps it ramp into lands. It's running 68 cards, which is as close as you usually get to a 60 card deck. 25 lands, which is normally what you want to see in a 60 card deck, so it's a little bit land shy in my opinion, although it is running, never mind, only one Attune with Ether, one Cultivator's Caravan. Actually doesn't have a whole lot of mana ramp. Forest Age of Shallya Plain, that was the other one that I said was one that's on almost every deck. Longtooth Cub. This, how many cards is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 20 cards. Like this could pretty much be your mono green damp, your mono green deck as far as my genetic algorithm is concerned. Next we've got the black deck, 4F. For FAE. That number sounds familiar. It feels like I've opened this before. Two Demon of Dark Schemes, 2 Self-Assemblers, 4 Gontis. Look at that. Gonti is another one that I've seen throw an error a couple times, and I'm not sure exactly why. It's throwing an error in the charm. So I'm wondering if it's something to do with when it gets charmed with 4-Night Market Lookouts is a good card. Die Young, Rush of Vitality. So this deck is actually pretty consistent. I mean, it's still got more than 60 cards, but it's running a lot of multiples. 4 of, 3 of, 4 of, 4 of, 2 of, I guess, is sort of consistent. 4 of the Pillar Bug, 3 of the Snare Copter, 2 of the Demon of Dark Schemes. Like, it's really consistent for an effectively for a mostly random deck, mostly randomly generated. Live Fast. So yeah, those are the only one-offs. So this is definitely looking like a well put together deck. It just needs to be smaller. But there are reasons, like I said, why decks are a little bit larger than they're supposed to be. Let's have a look at the top red deck, 3A3. E? Yeah. I'm not terribly excited about the red deck. I was kind of hoping that the blue deck would be in the top four, but that's fine. I kind of wanted to see the red too, so it's kind of weird. So we've got 2 Wayward Giants, which have Menace, 4 Terrors of the Fairground. This is basically Shivan Dragon with more abilities. Spontaneous Artist, huh? That probably helps it kill faster. Thriving Grubs. Thriving everything is good. Thriving everything is good. We just need to see what it works. Is it still running the whole Gremlin package? Not quite. It's removed some of the Gremlins for other stuff. Some of the higher casting cost Gremlins, but it's still running these 5 Gremlins. Renegade Tactics. Sabotage. Huh. Interesting. Chandra's Pile Heralix is now a 4 of.